Aloha everyone, this is Arado and we're here to talk about the upcoming Lunar New Year banner featuring Silver, Urpina, and Rouge. Before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to Dahlia-san for the awesome blue and Rouge artwork we have on display. When you have the chance, please visit Dahlia-san's Twitter handle or Pixiv page. She does a lot of blue and Rouge artwork as well as different characters that's released from Imperial Saga Eclipse, the other gacha saga game. So yeah, thank you so much, Dahlia-san, for the artwork. Alright, let's start off with Silver. So Silver is a little weird with how she is implemented. Well, this is a global original, but it feels like this is almost at the same caliber as the UDX style, although covering different elements. So let's cover this style first, the global exclusive one. So she is a strong single target DPS with follow-up, so kind of like Liam in a way. So she would be able to do one attack and then two follow-ups after that. And that's the maximum she can do because her follow-up charge costs 2 LP. So she can only use that twice, one already pre-used at the start of the battle. So that allows her to gain 5 BP per turn. So when she does an attack, the 2 follow-up attack would allow her to have extra 2 BP for that turn. So either you use Halloween style, the skill number 3 for 4 hits slash and thunder, or you can use skill number 3 for this global exclusive style to get damage block buff and also covering blunt and sun. So you gotta consider the element of the attack you're using because part of her ability is having 20% extra attack when dealing a weak point attack. So in total, I think she gains 60%, 40% all the time, and then 20% when hitting the weak point. And then she also gets 2 large effect of defense up. So that would be 28% mitigation from what I remember. So it's the opposite when calculating the defense up capability. And then she, like I said, she covers various elements. So with this style, she covers blunt and sun. And then also with the Halloween style, she covers slash and thunder. Or you can inherit from her other style to cover cold element as well, depending on what you need. And then so for this style, she covers either slash or sun, blunt, and then heat for the follow-up. So unfortunately, you might not be able to benefit from Exhale because Exhale, the attack boost it gives is cold and lightning element. So 2 of the elements that she doesn't have for this style. But yeah, overall, this Silver would be pretty strong with 60% attack, assuming that you're hitting weak point. My only comment on that would be being martial arts that she might not be able to deliver as high of a damage like Shuzer or Liam because they use gun and they have the highest damage multiplier from a weapon perspective. But yeah, it all goes down to actual testing to see whether this Silver is would be pretty good in long battles or not. I would say between Shuzer and Silver, they would be at par with one another, with Silver having a tad of an advantage because of, you know, having that inherit from the Halloween style. But again, it would still depend on the element vulnerability of the target you're faced with. And then lastly, she has, like I said, she has a UDX style. So for her UDX style, having the buff from this global exclusive style be inherited to the UDX style would complement that really well, because that would allow her to gain 5 BP as well per turn, because right off the bat, the UDX style gains plus 1 BP at end of turn, and then with the follow-up skill from this style going to that UDX style, she would be able to get 1 more BP, allowing her to gain to gain 5 BP for that turn. So either you go for that and then you just use UDX style skill number 3 so that you would buff herself with moral up with extreme effect, and then follow up with the 2 follow-ups. So that would allow her to deal really good damage. In terms of stats, I think that this silver style is almost close to the UDX style, so I will not be surprised if the UDX silver style gets a status buff for agility and strength at least, or the overall attack passive. Alright, sorry, that was a lot to cover for silver. Next up is Urpina. So Urpina continues to be a good counter character. So for this one, I would say if you're faced with an enemy that is a single target, and then does direct attacks, then this Urpina would shine really well. First off, she has really good attack passive, and 2, whenever she hits the enemy weak point, so it's to her advantage that the counter skill is double element slash and cold, that she would be able to have 2 chances of hitting the enemy weak point, that she would inflict defense down to the target. So defense down, if you're not familiar still, that it would stack with effect. So for example, for that same turn, Urpina countered 3 times and also hitting the weak point of the enemy, so she would be able to inflict defense down as well for small effect 3 times for that turn, and all those effects would stack with one another, as compared to, say, if you do guard down, then guard down doesn't stack with one another, but guard down and defense down stacks with one another. So just a quick overview on that one. And this is why if you're faced with a situation where counter would be a good tactic to do and it's a single target, then this Urpina would be really good at that one. And also she also has access to moral down, AoE for small effect for 3 turns, kind of like the plum fall, I think, from Rastaban, New Year Rastaban. So that's a good thing to have if you need you need to stretch everybody in your party as much as possible so that you can cover as many grounds as you can. So having moral down in Urpina is a good thing to have. And lastly, with the original S style that we're gonna have as part of the event tomorrow, that one has a skill where she buffs herself with endurance for 4 to 5 BP. So with her getting BP +1 whenever she lands an attack, that she would be able to continue buffing with endurance if you like to do it that way, or just keep her on the counter stance and then inherit the double wield stance from the platinum style, so that she can gain BP back faster and be able to be on counter as much as possible. I guess the drawback to that is her specialty being counter is kind of a considered as a niche application, because there's not much bosses or hard content where you would need counter tactic. I know a couple for the upcoming attacks that I'm not gonna spoil to anybody, but there are some attacks where having a counter would be really good, and I think that's where you would see Urpina shine. And then lastly, this Urpina kind of feels like the Christmas Urpina in a way, the Christmas original style, because she starts with 12 BP, and then she artificially is like a power charge 3 by round 2 because she gains BP +1 as long as she lands an attack. So in turn, you would be able to do an 8-8 rotation for 2 rounder farming. So you can do Mirage Blade Plus, which is, I believe, an A attack, which is a buff for global, and then you can do cross break as well if you have the UDX style. And as you know, cross break in global also got buffed to follow up with sword breath by default. So yeah, having single target and AoE farming is already covered. And then from the S style, you gain shimmering slash So when Raphael drops in global, so you would be able to amplify that, and then you would give Urpina access to a row SSS damage that's considered a fast skill as well. So that's why she covers a lot of grounds in terms of AoE, fast and single target farming. It's just that some of them are one shot, like the Shimmering Slash Plus or the skill number 3 from the Christmas Global Original. So yeah, depends on what you need, but Urpina overall I would say is a good investment. Even if you don't have the Christmas Original style, if you have the UDX style or the wrestler style, then yeah, this Urpina would be able to take advantage of those skills. And then having high protect tension, she is a good candidate as well for hard content. For the next style, that's more of a style on its own, because it depends on the turn starts where you would gain either moral up or guard up. I think moral up on odd turn and then guard up on even turn, and then whenever she hits the enemy weak point, that she would be able to chain with to follow up with a row attack and SS damage at that for extra large chance. So that's a pretty good thing to have. The advantage I see from this global original going to that next Urpina Matsuri style is having access to cold element, that would allow that Urpina to hit the enemy weak point better, so that she can take advantage of that follow-up skill. Alright, that is Urpina. And lastly, we have Rouge. So Rouge is, I think, one of the better characters in the banner. And I say that, I would say pretty lightly, because it depends on RNG on whether Rouge is gonna be good or not. So whenever you do a single target attack, Rouge would be able to follow up at most 2 attacks. One is this style's skill number 2, which is a 2-hit random single target attack, and then the other one is Blooming Fireworks Plus. So Blooming Fireworks Plus is of course amplified version. It gives either BP plus 1 or BP plus 2 to the party, so that is a pretty good thing to have. And then if you have Rouge, do either Darkness Bolt from the other style or Quark Collapse from a different style, or the skill number 2 from this style, then all of those qualifies as a single target attack, so they would be able to proc those 2 skills I mentioned earlier, one at 37% chance and then the other being a 25% chance. And then this Rouge also has a pretty good attack passive. I believe up front, Rouge has 40% and then an extra 20% when hitting the enemy weak point, which is, 60% right now is at par with, almost close to JP standard with in terms of attack. So that's why this Rouge is pretty good. Just like Silver and Urpina, all of them, I believe, have 60% attack passive. Let me check real quick for Urpina. No, Urpina is just 40%, 20% all the time, and then extra 20% when hitting enemy weak point. So yeah, for this, going back to Rouge, other than the follow-up, so Rouge also has a healing skill, so that's really good to have in a pinch. But right now, it's still a good thing to have, don't get me wrong, but having that capability of healing somebody without the need of LP, that is something still valuable, I would think, that we need to consider. But Global might not be at that point yet of the game where the LP penalty is being removed. So right now, I would say this healing from Rouge is pretty good, other than the heal itself, that it would give damage block to the target. So that's something where, if you heal somebody and then you struggle in keeping them alive, that damage block would help really well. And then lastly, of course, Blooming Fireworks is a good thing to have, but The problem is this is an AoE skill, so you won't be able to take advantage of the 2 follow-up skills that Rouge has. That's why Rouge is kind of like a mixed bunch in a way. It's either you're forced to use this style's skill number 2, Quark Collapse or Darkness Bolt, for willpower debuffing and intelligence buffing to himself, and then hope that Rouge would follow up with Everlasting Butterflies, skill number 2, or Blooming Fireworks Plus. The good thing to have with Rouge is if you're targeting for the latest Saruin in JP, as you know, that one is bonkers in terms of a dark element party. So having Rouge, Saruin, and then Tang Sheraha in that one, you would have a pretty solid party, and then having 2 other support in there or 1 more DPS, you would be able to deal with hard contents pretty good, because this Rouge would be able to help that party with BP battery, either just by casting Blooming Fireworks or chancing it with a single target skill and then hoping that Blooming Fireworks Plus would follow up. Alright, so that's the rundown for this banner. I know it's a lot, and my apologies. Usually I try to keep it short for a banner, but there's just so much to tackle. And the reason for that is there are some solid banners coming up that we really have to scrutinize these characters so that you really would have the criteria or be able to make an educated decision on whether the investment is worth it or not. In my opinion, the investment is worth it, especially for Silver and Rouge. Urpina, Urpina is really my target for this banner, mainly because I love Urpina. But again, with counter being her specialty, that it's considered as a niche capability, and if I already have the Christmas original style, then I really don't need any of the capability from this Urpina to be able to farm efficiently, because as you know, the Christmas style already has Mirage Blade plus Sun Flash rather, and then the free S style is the one that has the Shimmering Slash. So really, I don't have any need for this, but I love Urpina, so I want to go for her. And then Rouge, I would think that Rouge is a little hard to rely on if you think about the RNG, but if the scenario is on your side and RNG favors you, then Rouge would be really good to have. And then if you need a will debuffer and you don't have Red Mage and you have the other Rouge style, then having maybe Dark Bolt inherited or Darkness Bolt inherited then would be a good thing to have. I would suggest Darkness Bolt more, because Darkness Bolt is a single target. It debuffs will, and because of it being single target, you would be able to trigger skill number 2 or skill number 3 on his RNG. I think the open question that everybody has is whether it would be a condition where skill number 3 is dependent upon skill number 2 triggering. So we're just gonna have to test it out if I get lucky and pulling for Rouge. And then Silver, I would say pretty solid. I can't say upfront on whether Silver's damage capability is up there with Schuzer or Liam, but definitely Schuzer and Silver might be close to one another. Probably Schuzer might do better because of the buffs, but again, I can't say upfront until we do further testing to be able to actually see who does the better damage. And yeah, and the reason, like I said, the reason why we scrutinize the banner is because one, the Valentine's banner should be right around the corner. So some people are excited for Valentine Matriarch. Right now, for me, with the vanilla version from JP, I'm not really excited for the Valentine's banner, mainly because I already finished Egg, and I don't mean to brag about it, because using Doki Doki Song from Valentine style is not really my style of gameplay because it's too expensive to use. So it gives me less room to plan my attacks or plan my strategy better. So yeah, a lot of people are excited for Matriarch, and you know, she is Matriarch, so she's always a cool character to have. And then other than the Valentine's banner, the Anya banner should be right around the corner as well. I still believe that because of the Taiwan game show that we should see the Anya banner pretty soon. But again, I don't know what the schedule looks like on whether what the next banner is gonna come, but definitely something to consider, especially now that we have a lot of jewels given because of Lunar New Year, that you know, don't spend it in one banner. And that's a reminder for myself as well, because I might splurge on this banner. I want to complete them mainly for content purposes. All right, that's the banner rundown. Hopefully that helps you in deciding on whether this banner is worth it or not, and also hopefully the, you know, the final thoughts helps you as well why we scrutinize a lot these three characters. And there were just it was just a lot to cover. All right, thank you so much again, everyone, and Dahlia-san, thank you so much for the blue and rouge artwork. All right, see you everyone in the next video or stream. Thank you so much once more.